It's your boy Openly, and today about to do yet another My Hero What If. This is what if Deku was the reincarnation of Madara Uchiha. It seems that, well, you liked it, so I'm doing another part. So, we'll pretty much start off where we left off before. Yeah, so we last left off before the USJ, so let's get right into it. As Deku is pretty much, well, attending school again after the hero versus villains, they'll get, well, told about the USJ, and days later, they would all pile up on the bus to actually go there. Once they would all be on the bus, they'd be talking about quirks and how they work, and they would eventually get to Deku, and they would ask him, like, you can do multiple things with your quirk, like, how many things can you do? And Deku, I'll say that he'll keep some stuff secret, but he'll just keep the stuff that he already, did. He'll just tell them that stuff. So, like, he can take people's, attacks, like how he did with Bakugo's explosion, and he can basically pull and push people towards him or away from him, and the Renegon has multiple abilities, so he'll just explain a little bit of like how chakra works, basically like an energy manipulation quirk, and that's how he explains it. Like he can use it in different body parts of his body. So like if he used it in his eyes, he would be able to use the Renegon, and people would understand because he explained it in a way that people from My Hero could understand. Instead of just using chakra, it would just be an energy manipulation quirk. So as they would just get to the USJ, eventually 13 will basically say that quirks can be really, dangerous, as pretend if you use them in some type of way, they can be dangerous to people, just like hers. And while she's saying this, a portal would open up. Mostly people not really paying attention to it. Multiple villains would come out. Deku immediately seeing this, he would already be on guard because he's just Madara, and he's about that life. So Deku, just seeing that, okay, as eventually Aizawa and 13 would be alerted that there's villains in here, so they would start attacking. They would actually do fairly well, but once they get to higher rank villains along the fight, then they can start struggling. So Deku would basically, make a couple of shadow clones, and just like that, everybody, most of the villains are pretty much destroyed, embodied, mangled. Like, he's literally bodying them. So, they really had no chance against somebody that's so fucking good in taijutsu. Like literally a fucking god in taijutsu. Like, they had no chance. So, they would lose in like 30 seconds. But eventually, Aizawa being left to handle Shigaraki for a couple of seconds, he would get his elbow a little bit scraped or touched by Shigaraki, and his elbows start flaking off. But that's when they would eventually bring the Nomu in, because they realized they're losing like a lot, and All Might's not even here. So eventually Ida would come back from, getting All Might after he pretty much left. Even though I didn't mention it, we don't gotta care about Ida. He's Ida. Like, the fuck? So Ida, he would come back with All Might, and All Might would prepare to fight the Nomu. And Deku would just sit back, as he knows he did his job, and he thinks All Might can handle it. As the Nomu and All Might would, trade blows for at least longer than Deku would have fought. As Deku was like, oh yeah, I remember All Might with his injury. As Deku would think, maybe I can fix that. But it's not what we need to be worrying about right now. So, as All Might is barely beating him, and Deku would realize that he's smoking up and he's kind of puking blood now, or at least he's about to. So, All Might would basically go plus Ultra, and he would body the Nomu. Nomu will fly out just like how usual is. And if I'm rushing this USJ thing, I just don't like the USJ. It did nothing for the story. It was overall a useless arc. All it did is just make everybody scared. And that's kind of facts. Like, it didn't make nobody get stronger, so it was kind of useless. So Deku will just see, yeah, he's definitely just lost some of his power for just using that much of it. Like, he barely beat it, like, by a couple of seconds. If that was a little bit stronger, it would be All Might. So Deku would think, yeah, okay. As Deku would run over to All Might, and All Might would be, getting to, Recovery Girl, and Deku in, the nurse's office, he would basically summon the King of Hell, and, All Might is pretty much fucked up. All Might is like, the hell is that? As Deku would just pick him up because Madara, I'm pretty sure he's just the strongest person of all time. Like, Naruto barely beat him. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it was all just fucking luck. If Naruto wasn't the main character, Madara would just beat the fuck out of everybody. Like, they hyped him up for 12 years straight for him to get, like, stabbed in the heart. Like, that's some bullshit. So Deku pretty much got to see the King of Hell and put All Might in there. And now All Might would come out fully healed, so he wouldn't actually have to give anybody one for all. So yeah, Deku just healed him. So All Might, when he came out, he would be in his full All Might form. So yeah, he would thank Deku. And since everything went over pretty smoothly and pretty fast, actually, because Deku was there, he did make shadow clones and he did defeat most of the villains. Since he did most of the work pretty easily, just laying back, holding back, being Madara himself is pretty easy. So Deku, he's not scared by those villains. And most of the students actually aren't, because they barely saw him. Like, that whole interaction barely happened. Like, it was a really short interaction, so it's not like they actually did anything. So eventually they'll get told about how the sports festival is going to be coming up pretty soon. Did I just say spoon? The fuck? They'll be told about how the sports festival is going to be, coming up pretty soon. As Madara would basically understand, I don't gotta train for that. As, they would eventually go home for 2 weeks, where the rest of the class is training, but Deku, because, he's Madara. Do I really have to explain myself here? Or I'm not dumb, because, this makes sense, right? Well, eventually, Madara and most of the other students will eventually get to Class 1A, and they would all gather to go, to the sports festival. And once they do get there, they would eventually, be lined up with the other classes and other people from UA, and they would have a Class 1A representative, and they would pick Deku. So he's walking up all smug, and he would basically say, what would Madara say? Madara would say, try your hardest even though it's futile, as he would walk away. Basically saying, even if you did try your hardest, it would just be no reason to actually try your hardest, because I'm just gonna win. That's basically what he just said. as people from 1A wouldn't even be mad because they know, yeah, he probably gonna beat everybody, no cap. So they would eventually get to the race after he just triggered half of the people there. Deku, I'll say Deku actually runs, and yeah, he just blows past Ida and most of the other students. Oh yeah, and he's way he's ahead of Bakugo and Todoroki. But let's just say they do eventually catch up to him due to Deku holding back, because yeah, you can't just have Deku going full power on people. That's just bullying. I'm not trying to condone bullying, because that's not good. I don't like that. So yeah, Madara or Deku, whoever you want to call him, he's pretty much running, and he slowed down a little bit. And he's doing this on purpose so he can just use Bansho Tenin just to pull Bakugo and Todoroki towards him. Then he will just beat up again. And he just gets first place. And that's kind of messed up, bro. Bakugo pretty mad. Todoroki, he's angered, but he don't think that Deku can beat him. Todoroki's still all high and mighty because Deku would just okay, you learn your lesson when you get clapped, okay? You learn your lesson, okay? So Deku would easily win and on to the cavalry battle. Deku would, get the same team, Uraraka, Mei Hatsume, and Bird Boy. Forgot his name. Sorry, Bird Boy. I'll name you one day. As Bird Boy, Deku, Mei Hatsume, and Uraraka, they would all team up and long story short, they don't get their headbands stolen and they actually win. So Deku's still in first place. So yeah, basically Mei Hatsume basically thanked Deku for getting her that easy dub. It's almost like she didn't even have to do anything, neither did anybody else. Deku could have just did this by himself, but gratitude. So yeah, they would eventually get to the fights, the 1v1s, no scope. So they would eventually get to that, and they would eventually get to the head scopes. No scopes out here. That's last year. So they would eventually get to that, and it would be Madara versus Shinzo. Yeah, dang, I don't know why I repeated myself, but yeah, they would go on to the stadium. They looking at each other. Yeah, Deku know he gonna win. So yeah, he started talking that bullshit as Deku would just speak, and do I really have to explain myself? Like, this man, like I'm not even sure, but Madara just might be the first person to ever do a genjutsu and ever existed. Like he might even made the genjutsu. Yeah, obviously existed in the Sharingan's power, but he might have been the first person to ever perfect it or even do it. So mind control, that's kind of his thing, or mostly Uchiha thing. So that ain't working out for him. Shinzo, he didn't even have to touch him, bro. Shinzo's filthy. Shinra Tensei, fly away, boy. He got bodied, he got clapped into a wall. Madara just walk off as people were cheering for him. Yeah, everybody happy now. He got clapped ease. And Shinzo over there crying in the crater of the wall that he's in. Eventually other matches would happen, like Bakugo versus Uraraka, Bird Boy versus whatever the fuck he fought. And yeah, Uraraka got bodied. And yeah, Bakugo versus... Who the fuck did Bakugo even fight after Uraraka? Oh yeah, he was the last person. So yeah, now it's Todoroki versus Deku. Deku knew, Deku He's had a sinking. He was just suspicious. He knew that he had to go up against Bakugo or Todoroki because they're supposed to be like the other best students. But he know he finna clap Todoroki because, well, do I really have to explain myself? So Deku would just, well, walk to the stadium as Todoroki would say, "I'm gonna beat you even without my ice, even without my fire side." As Deku said, "Okay, we weren't even having a conversation. I don't even know why you're even talking to me." And start the fight. As the fight would start, as Deku really wouldn't even barely move. He barely moved. He just stepped to the side. As Todoroki says, "Oh, you're not gonna move? This is gonna be easy dub for me." As Todoroki would just shoot a wave of ice from out his. Where the fuck did that ice be coming from? It be coming from his armpit, swear to God. So he's shooting that wave of armpit ice. And Deku just not having it. Deku would just jump up. And I'll say he didn't train, but his training is kind of not really training because he's always training in his headspace with Madara. So I'll say he did that. And he learned storm release, which is actually something Madara can do. So he would say storm release as he would jump up in the air, and he would say, storm release, lightning, dragon plum, jutsu, as it's just a big lightning dragon, and it's basically just a bunch of lightning in the sky. And then, yeah, it's coming down. It's raining down on Todoroki. I'm not a fucking biologist or something, but I don't think ice beats storm shit. So I don't think ice can beat electricity or fucking thunder or whatever you want to call it. Storm release. It can't beat that. I don't believe it. Show me the statistics. I need to know the statistics first before I believe it. So yeah, he'll do that, and it'll pretty much strike Todoroki. Obviously, it's not that strong. He's doing that on purpose, has to hold himself back. He's not trying to kill nobody unless it's a war, which, hey, Madara, he'll just do real good at. He lived his whole life in war. Yeah, that's his whole life. So Deku, I'm getting off track. Deku would basically hit him with that. Todoroki, he don't like that. So he's pretty hurt. He would get up off his one knee after getting fried, and this would make him pretty mad. So he's using more ice attacks, and he's going at Deku. So he would cover his whole arm in ice, and he would just let ice, the only way I can explain it is Senbon from Naruto, but it's purely of ice. So there's these little ice needles come out of his hand because his whole arm is covered in ice. So yeah, it's like an ice gun. So Deku's getting shot at by that, and Deku, I'm not sure if Madara has all 5 fucking chakra natures. Let's just say that he would, because he would have Ten-Tails. He would have the Ten-Tails power at one point in time. And since all of his power was sealed away, even the power that he had for 2 seconds was sealed away. So yeah, he still would have that. So he finna body. So yeah, Deku, he would just do some he would just do an air bolt jutsu and just fucking blow them shits away, and they would just fall on the floor as Todoroki's astonished. This nigga can use air. Nani, it's everything his weapon. As Deku would just pull a Naruto and just make a shadow clone, let him run at him with a Rasen Chidori. And he's running at him pretty fast, but Todoroki can barely see him. And the worst part that this man had the body flicker. So he just body flickered like right above him, like 3 feet above him, of the Rasen Chidori, which is just a Rasengan or lightning release on it. Or basically storm release. But it's Rasen Chidori nonetheless. So Deku would basically about to hit this man in the face with it, as Todoroki can barely react because he's not fast enough. He's fast as shit, boy. So, Todoroki, rest in peace, Todoroki, he got bodied. He would eventually fall out the ring for after getting hit with the Rasen Chidori. He's basically done. He got Yamcha'd. He's in that crater with his... I'm not about to say what I was about to say. But, eventually the next match would start, and it's Bakugo versus Todoroki. Bakugo versus Deku. Oh my god, messed it up. Yeah, but it's about to be short because it's Bakugo. I don't know what you expected from Bakugo, of all people. It's Bakugo. I don't know what you wanted, but eventually Bakugo would get onto the stadium and Deku would just look at him. And he hadn't even using his Sharingan. Like, he only used Shinra Tensei once. And Deku just says, nah, I'm finna body you. As Bakugo would start using his explosions, being ignorant as fuck, and not realizing that he can be exploited by just taking his power and literally getting bodied. So Deku would just use Bancho Tenin to pull Bakugo forward. Bakugo would try to throw the explosion, and yeah, he would just absorb it, and Deku would just use he would just put his hand near the ground and use the Rasengan and put Storm Release on it, and it would just become that Rasen Chidori, drive it through the floor, and eventually get to Bakugo, as Bakugo is pretty much being held into the air by Bancho Tenin, and he's pretty much, like, this has happened in the first 3 seconds of the fight. So, yeah, this looks pretty fucking cool. As he just hits him right in the face. Bakugo goes flying. He attempts to use his explosions, and it actually does work. Bakugo can barely even get up, as Bakugo would say he was gonna kill him by using a howitzer impact. And Deku, I'll say that he would actually do something a little different. He would just shoot missiles from his hands, and that'll be the end of the fight. He would just blow Bakugo out the ring. That's where I'm gonna leave this one off, though, and bye.